Hidden Show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, views, reviews, and interviews. Woo! Anyway, so making the news really more like in the last couple days, Daisy Ridley, who played the character Rey in the episodes 7, 8, and 9. It's The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, has been interviewed about some other things and asked about some Star Wars stuff. And she was asked more this time about the potential project that got canned, which is The Hunt for Ben Solo, which Adam Driver, who plays Ben Solo / Kylo Ren, sort of was the one who talked about that, and now she's talking about that, and every time she does talk, it brings up the question: is there going to be ever a Rey movie? Well, apparently there is. Apparently at the moment there is, but that's pretty much the news for today. Look, Starfighter and The Mandalorian. No news is good news. You know what I say. No news is good news with that. That's, I'm happy with that. The only other news I could sort of extend is that I did have my, actually early this morning, can you believe it? But my last episode was the Supergirl teaser trailer. Check that video out if you like. It's the last one I did. And, it's a mixed reviews obviously out there, and it's out there. But also that dropped today, which is something more connected to Star Wars in a way, but it's not, it hasn't been confirmed by the man. Steven Spielberg has got a movie coming out next year. I think it's June. It's not Star Wars related, but it's apparently UFO related. Now, it's not been confirmed by him that it is a UFO film, but there is a big billboard type sort of thing on a corner, which I've actually been to that corner in New York, with a big eye and words to the effect of it will be disclosed, Steven Spielberg, the release date, and yeah, check that one out. Anyway, so that is the news. Let's get into views. Views is my story idea that I have within Star Wars storylines anywhere. And today is going to be the day that I talk about Rey Skywalker. Dare I say it? Yes. Some people hate it. Some people dislike it. Some people like it. Some people love it. I think there's more to the negative than the positive. But for me, I thought the character was fine. I know this is going to be controversial, but I do think the whole inclusion of the Emperor all of a sudden in Rise of Skywalker could have been done better by sort of hinting at the fact in episode 8, but I think it works. It's just if you're really being petty about it, it doesn't work. But for me, I think it does work because the dark side clouds everything. Everything. And that to me is a logical Star Wars answer. But anyway, so my story idea is, should there be a Rey movie? Well, I'll say this. I don't think there should be a Rey movie. I think the whole character idea of movies with Star Wars, it's not really the thing. Star Wars is built and is best when it's an episodic movie. That's it. Just keep the episodes rolling and rolling forward, not backward. I just think a Rey movie is not really needed, but include Rey in the forward steps here because, she's there. You can't ignore it. It's the whole thing. And the question to retconning what people call the Disney trilogy, which is technically episode 7, 8, 9. I just think no. I just think, this is the story, this is where it's gone, and that is it. It may not be the perfect story for hardcore Star Wars lore and fans, but it's where you got to ride with the story. Like I could tell you so many things about Star Wars that I'd go, man, I wish I did this. Man, I wish I did that. But you know what? I just let it be. Anyway, so I wouldn't do a Rey Skywalker, if you were to say, movie. I would just do an episodic movie with Rey being in it. To what extent? I don't know at this point. I would say small from my, small in the beginnings, and then maybe a bit bigger towards the end. If there's other episodes, but that's what I think. Anyway, so that is my story idea. Let's get into reviews. Reviews this time is something that is quite unique. This looks really, really old. It's a figure. Yep. It's a figure. It's actually the Destroyer droid. These were always known as the Destroyer droid. They first made an appearance in the Phantom Menace episode 1. This is the Attack of the Clones packaging. That's the Attack of the Clones range of Star Wars toys, with that sort of blue background, yellow sort of Star Wars sort of font. In a way, partially yellow, more gold, I think, or some gold, silver, whatever. But that was the packaging for Attack of the Clones. It looks really retro. It looks actually something like from the 80s, but this was the Destroyer droid. I've got a number of versions of these, from Revenge of the Sith to the Phantom Menace. One of my favorite, bad droids, bad boy droids, I'm saying. But that here, this, look, the packaging I won't say is over thrilling, but I would give this an 8 out of 10. The packaging is just, reminiscent of the old school, but the actual character, the Destroyer droid, is one of my favorites. An 8 out of 10 for this one. There it is. Beautiful. Look at that. Even on the back. Woo! Anyway, so that was from Attack of the Clones. That's episode 2, just to let you know. So let's now get into reviews. Interviews. Interviews is largely being taken up by a guy named Michael in Werribee South, which is a part of Melbourne. You can send in your questions. You can send in your comments. Like this episode, if you like, it's up to you. Subscribe as well. But let's get into this. So Michael is asking, what Naboo city does Padme's funeral take place? Now, this is one I had to look up on Google. This city is Theed. Theed. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan, but there's lots of parts of Star Wars that I don't know. I remember the funeral. In fact, I'll tell you that. A fun fact. In the funeral, the mum and the dad are Australian actors, because the prequels were filmed largely in Sydney, Australia, and they are very famous actors for Australia, especially the dad. I can't remember his name, but the dad is an Australian actor. Anyway, so Theed was the burial place, the funeral place for Padme. Padme is Anakin Skywalker's girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to say, the leader of Naboo, things like that, people activist. So the next question is, how many years after the Battle of Geonosis did Revenge of the Sith take place? How many years did the Battle of Geonosis, did Revenge of the Sith take place? Michael from Werribee asks. This is 3 years. I don't have to look that one up. I know that one. 3 years. It was a very small amount of time. 3 years. Now, the Battle of Geonosis was a big sort of It's where, you know, the clones and the droids, battle droids, went at each other pretty intensely. It's where a lot of things happened, you know, to really commence the war underway. But yeah, that was in that Geonosis was heavily featured in Attack of the Clones, episode 2. Big episode 2 sort of thing today for some reason. But anyway, the next question: who leads the group of shock troopers that rescue Darth Vader? Now this, yes, my friends, I'm going to go straight to a Google. It was Clone Commander Thea or Thaya or Taya. I don't know how you would pronounce that. Spelled Thire. Clone Commander. He was the leading clone trooper. So let's get back into the questions. And yet again, we've got Michael. What was the name of the event that marked the founding of the Galactic Empire? It was pretty much a declaration during a Senate meeting that took place. That's you know, the gist of it. Yeah, so it was not really an event. It was more just I'd say a big moment. But yeah, so it was just during a big Senate meeting, and it was pronounced there. And that was, I think, in Revenge of the Sith, episode 3, from what I recall. Next question: in what order does Palpatine, Darth Sidious, which is his Darth Sidious as well, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious kill Jedi High Council members that attempted to arrest him? Now, I always remember Mace Windu, and I also remember a Jedi that just lost a lot of. It didn't get a lot of popularity amongst hardcore Star Wars fans, yes, but not a rememberable character within the normal sort of regular audience. Kit Fisto, he was the green alien. He was one of my favorites. I've got a figure of him. He's and in the pack, and he was one of them. But let me just find this out. The order was. Let me have a look. Okay, I'm going to Google just to let you know. Was Agen Collar, Saesee Tiin, and Kit Fisto. But also Mace Windu was in that involvement as well. He was the last one to go, but he was killed by Anakin, and sort of then by the Emperor, electrocuting him and picking him up and throwing him out the window. Is he alive? That's a good question, because technically he could have survived, but we don't know. Anyway, so that was the answer to that question. So again, it was Agen Collar, Saesee Tiin, and Kit Fisto were the ones who tried to arrest Emperor Palpatine, or at that point Chancellor Palpatine, that turned into the Emperor when the Empire began later in that film. Anyway, so what is the name of the planetoid that Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and Bail Organa take Padme to for medical attention? That's a very good question. Let's see if I've searched this up. Let's have a look. I did have to look this one up. It was Polis Massa. That was where they had to get medical attention. That was the what was the name of the planetoid? I don't know what was the name of the planet that Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and Bail Organa take Padme to for medical attention. And the answer again was, let me get back into it. It was not that one. It was Polis Massa, as I said before. Anyway, that's the answer to that question. Let's get into the next question. This is the last one from Michael from Werribee South. He's a very curious man. What is the name of the Jedi Master who Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Anakin Skywalker move their troops to Boz Pity? I don't know what I'm sorry. This is a part of Star Wars that I'm probably familiar with, but I cannot remember that point. What is the name of the Jedi Master who Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Anakin Skywalker move their troops to Boz Pity? It's a little bit of a confusing question, but let's see what Google has said about this. Is Quinlan Vos. Quinlan Vos. That's the answer. What that means to you, I don't know. What that means to me is Quinlan Vos. Anyway, so that is the questions for Michael, but there is also another person here. Stormy MP4. Stormy MP4. Not interested in fan ramblings as much as exploring the messy Where's Waldo room of trinkets. Pretty sure there's a original iPhone back there, but Cocoa Pops? Really? I think that is this room here. Now, just to let you know, that is an original iPhone. The original iPhone that came out in 2007. It's a bit scratched up. It does have a cracked screen, but I left it in there for, memorabilia's sake. I don't think it's going to be a big seller for the sake of being damaged, but I'm sure it has increased in value, But that's the original packaging. That's what it came out. That's right there. In fact, right next to it, if you look at it, is a Sony Ericsson. I even kept that. And there's some great photos on that card. I think it's got a SIM card back then. But also the Cocoa Pops back there. The Cocoa Pops, that is a Star Wars Cocoa Pops packet. That's why I've got it back there. This section here looks a little bit like a bit of a junk pile. It's actually not. I've just sort of put unusual things in there. I've got the McDonald's meal thing that I got from Star Wars Celebration that J.J. Abrams gave to all us fans whilst waiting to get into the Rise of Skywalker panel, which I never got into, but I was there waiting to get in there. But he gave us a beanie and he gave us some McDonald's, and it had that. I kept that. Seems to be a little bit unusual to keep, but I thought, this is a memory. And the Cocoa Pops back there is a Star Wars one. I think it was Revenge of the Sith. I think I've showed that before anyway. There's many things. I keep it in a sort of a scattered, sort of disorganized, because I like a bit of, I don't want it to be pure neat. I just want it to be sort of some candy for the eye, what's this, what's that, whatever. I will be going through a number of things. I've got a lot of things over there you haven't seen. I've got a lot of things over here you haven't seen. I've got a big poster over there, but that's for another time. Anyway, that was pretty much it with the interview section, which is technically the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel. The Force Always. I'm here about 3, sometimes 4 times a week, but usually about 3. I give you the news, I give you the views, which is story ideas. I give you reviews, which is, it could be a movie, it could be something in this room or whatever I've got. And I give you interviews. It could be, a big time interview one time with an actor. That would be great. But if not, just regular people, even if it's just comments, it's all good. It's all Q&A, question and answers. But anyway, until next time, my friends, keep